Hey everybody, it's Mark Vogt with VOGTLAND Outdoors, and I've been getting some great feedback from some new subscribers in Sweden and Romania and Austria, even in Pakistan last week. Fantastic, nice to hear from you guys. Emmanuel in Poland, hi. People wanted to see that a part of the VOGTLAND string walking method, string walking in general, people wanted to see what does the sight picture actually look like when you're looking down, when you're at full draw. What does it actually look like? And if you guys remember, the whole idea with string walking is that you're changing the elevation of the arrow, not from the front using pins, the front sight pins, a set of front pins like a compound bow. You're changing the elevation by walking your fingers up and down the back of the bow, the string, changing the elevation. Not by changing the nocking point of the arrow, but by changing the draw point, where your index finger is as you draw back under your chin, so that at short distances, string walking looks like this for 10 meters, for 20 meters, for 30 meters, for 40 meters, for 50 meters, for 60 meters, for 70 meters, for 75 meters, for 95 meters, for 115 meters, something like this. But what you guys were asking was, what does it look like when I'm actually sighting down? You've said, Mark, in a couple of your videos, you actually show the sight picture, but let's go into a little bit more depth. So in today's lesson, we're actually going to start with this one bag. We're going to set it at 10 meters. We're going to look at what the sight picture looks like for a 10-meter gap. Then we're going to roll it out to 20, then we're going to roll it out to 30, out to 40, out to 50, out to 60, out to 70, out to 80, out to 90, and see what that sight picture looks like each time. But first, the intro. Okay, the first distance that we're going to look at is going to be the 10 meters. And if you remember, there's two steps to the VOGTLAND string walking method. If you remember, there's two magic numbers to the VOGTLAND string walking method. Magic number one is your 20-meter gap. From me, this particular bow, 60-pound draw, it's actually a 3-finger gap. Magic number two is you need to know what your 10-meter interval gap is. How much in finger widths do you change that gap in order to either decrease the range by 10 meters or increase the range by 10 meters? And for me, on this bow, that's 1/2 finger width. So let's take a look at what 10 meters would look like. Let's hope I can see today. It's a lot of glare from the camera. All right, first we're going to set it. We're going to start with a 20-meter gap. That's sliding down 3 fingers. Then I'm going to ask myself, to go to 10, what do I got to do? I have to increase the gap. I have to bring the back of the arrow up by 1/2 finger. That's a 10-meter interval. So I slide my thumbnail down to measure off 1/2 finger. Then I slide the rest of my fingers, my index finger, right down there. So there is my 10-meter gap, and this is what the sight picture looks like. I'm going to be anchored under here. Right up, this is where my chin's going to be, guys, right here. But as I look down, this is what I'm actually going to see. Right there. The tip of the arrow is right on the target, and I'm looking down the left side of the string. I'm looking down the left side of the string with my dominant eye, the eye that's nearest the string. Let's go back and see what that looks like again one more time. Gosh, there's a lot of glare reflecting off. Going to look down the left edge of the string. Going to put the tip of the arrow right smack on the center of the target. And there's what our 10-meter gap is going to look like. Your eye is going to actually be, your eye at those kinds of gaps, you're like this. You are literally looking down the arrow like this. So that at full draw, this is what it would look like. Anchoring under my chin, Looking straight down the left side of the string over the top of the arrow and putting the tip of the arrow right smack on the target. All right, let me pause the camera. We're going to roll out to 20 meters and see what the 20-meter gap looks like. All right, now I've set the bag out to 20 meters and we're going to see what the 20-meter gap is. If you remember, that's actually magic number 1 in the VOGTLAND string walking method. So I can just measure down 3 fingers, put my index finger there, and now we've got our gap. And here is what I want you to pay attention to, is that my fingers are getting closer to the arrow. So you're actually looking higher and higher up on top of the arrow. But here is what your sight picture is going to look like. Something like that. God, I gotta bring my reading glasses in. I'm looking down the left edge of the string. I got the tip of the arrow right smack on the orange that's there. Right there. Right there. Clear. Let's take a shot. Just because it's fun to shoot at the same time. Remember, the VOGTLAND shooting technique has got 5 steps in it. Step 1 is choose your gap. Step 2, draw back under the chin. Step 3, look down the left edge of the string. Step 4, put the tip of the arrow right on the target, just like a compound bow. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. And we have a decent shot. Even while I'm talking, I'm going to throw one more out there, and then we're going to go out to 30 meters. Step 1, choose your gap. Step 2, draw back under your chin. Step 3, look down the left edge of the string. Step 4, put the tip of the arrow on the target. Not above it, not below it, not left, not right. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. We have a nice bullseye. We're going to wait for the other people to finish shooting, and then we're going to push out to 30 meters. I'm going to pause. Okay, we just pushed the bag out to 30. 30 means we get to use both parts of the VOGTLAND 2 magic numbers of string walking. We start, just like always, we start with the 20-meter gap, 3 fingers. Slide your index finger down. Then you ask the question, I got to go out farther, which means my gap has to get smaller. So I pull the back of the arrow up, so I tip the front up so it goes farther. So we start here and we say, for 10 more meters to get from 20 to 30, I need to go up a half a finger width. I'm going to just use my thumb as a starting point and slide up until I see a half a finger above that starting point. There's my 10 meters. So there's my 30-meter gap, and this is what the sight picture is going to look like. Right about there. Looking down the left side of the string, tip the arrow right on the target. That's what you'd be seeing. But you can see now that you're going to start looking more and more. You're going to be looking down and seeing the whole of the arrow instead of being up close and looking at it like this. You're going to be a little higher up and looking down, and then we'll see as we go farther and farther out, you're going to be a little higher up and a little higher up, and you're going to be seeing more and more of the arrow looking down at this angle. Let's take a couple shots and then we'll roll it out to 40. So step 1, choose your gap. We move down to 20, up a half a finger. There's my 30-meter gap. Step 2, draw back under my chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, tip of the arrow right on the target. Step 5, small motion release. Don't talk while you're filming. Let's do it again. Step 1, choose my gap. Step 2, draw back under my chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, better, small motion release. Let's pause there, roll it out to 40. Okay, now we pushed it out to 40 meters, which means now we get to use the 2 steps of the VOGTLAND string walking method. It's going to look something like this, and then we'll see it from behind. We're always going to start with the 20-meter gap, 3 fingers, and then we're going to ask ourselves, where do we need to go, up or down? For 40 meters, I need to go out another 20. That's 2 half fingers. So I'll measure that by going up a whole finger from where I am. That's 2 halves, and that's going to be where I pull. See how close I'm getting to the knocking point of the arrow? I'll be seeing more and more and more of the arrow as I anchor into my chin. I'm going to be seeing it look like this. Let's see what that looks like from behind the camera. We're going to start with 20, slide down. We're going to say we got to go to 40, that's 2 half fingers. So then I'm going to go up a half finger and a half finger, and that's going to be my 40 meter gap. And this, oh gosh, this is getting hard to see. This is what my sight picture is going to look like, something like that. So I'll be looking very much over the top of the arrow this time. Let's take a couple of shots. Step 1, choose my gap. Step 2, draw back under my chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, put the tip of the arrow right on the target. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. Tad high. That happens. As the same size target gets farther and farther back, it gets very small very fast. So you have to be far more careful in your release. The string walking is going to give you excellent range. So you're going to see that a lot of your shots are going to come in just right, but you might start to see variation in the left and right where they land. And that's just telling you, you got to be a little bit more careful. Let's shoot 2 more and then we'll go get it. Step 1, choose your gap. I shortened it in this case, guys. If I go down 3 and then up 1, that's the same as if I start here and just go down 2. You'll learn your own method as well. Step 2, draw back under the chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. Well, it's pretty good. Let's pause there and let's roll back to 50. Okay, we pushed it out to 50 meters, guys, and what you're seeing is that target that looked pretty big at 10 has gotten down to about, let's see, 50, 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50. It's about 1/6, maybe 1/8 of the actual area. It's smaller, so I have to be very, very careful in my release. You know, you're going to see a little bit of variation as it goes back and forth. Variation you don't notice at 10 meters, but it sure as heck shows up at 50. Let's go over this 2 steps. In string walking, it's going to look like this. We're going to start with 20 meters, our 20 meter gap, and then we need to walk up the string 3 half widths. We need to go up 30 meters. So I'm going to actually use my thumb as a starting point and slide up 1 finger and a half fingers, and that point right there is my 50 meter mark. Pretty easy. Let's see what that looks like from the back. We're going to start with our 20 meter gap, and then we're going to slide up. We're going to slide up 1 finger and a half of a finger. That is our 50 meter gap right there. The sight picture, let's see if I can even see this. So much glare. It is going to look like that. All right, let's take a couple of shots at 50. For me, 50 is also, if I go down 3 and then I go up 1.5, that's the same as if I simply went down 1.5 to start. Still the same gap. Do the math. Step 1, choose your gap. Actually, that distance looks really good. 1.5 fingers. Step 2, draw back under the chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. Oh, that was really nice. We're talking, it's at the 10 o'clock position and only about this far out of the orange ring. Fine, we're happy with that. Let's pause the camera, go out to 60 meters. Okay, we started at 10 meters, then went out to 20, to 30, to 40, to 50. Now we're out at a whopping 60 meters, and the string walking method is only about halfway about what it's capable of. So let's see what this goes. Let's see what string walking is going to do at 60 meters. We're going to start at our 20 meter gap, and we're going to ask ourselves, we got to pull the back of the arrow down. We got to go 1, 2, 3, 4 half fingers. We got to go 40 meters up. So I'm going to measure up 1 finger, up 2 fingers, and this is my 60-meter gap right there. Let's see what this looks like. It's getting harder and harder to show this on the camera. There's so much glare. I'm going to go down to the 20-meter mark to start, and then we're going to shift. I'm going to go down to the 20-meter mark to start, then we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 half fingers, and that is my 60-meter gap. And this, let me see if I can, gee, I can't even see the target out there with all this glare, but your sight picture is going to look like that. So let's do a couple. For me, going down 3 and then back up 2 is the same as going down 1. So there's my 60-meter gap. Step 2, draw back onto the chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, put the tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. Oh, near perfect bullseye. Maybe right on the top edge of the orange. Let's pause there. Go and roll it back to 70 meters. Okay, we started at 10 meters. We went out to 20. We went out to 30, to 40, to 50, to 60. Now we're out at 70. Does this 2-step VOGTLAND string walking method work? Yeah, it still continues to work all the way out to 120 meters, which is up that hill in the second bush on the right-hand side. But for now, we're going to show you what a 70-meter gap looks like. Once again, 2-step method. Start. Step 1, we start at the 20-meter gap. Step 2, we ask ourselves, from 20, what do we need to go to get to 70? That's a 50-meter difference. That's 5 half fingers that I got to walk up. So here I am walking up 1 finger, 2 fingers. That's 2. From here, I got to walk up 5 half fingers. That's 2, 4, 5. There, that little half finger gap is my 70-meter gap. And when I shoot, my chin, it's going to be under my chin like this. So this is the sight picture I'm going to look at. I'm going to be seeing a lot of the arrow. I'm looking down like this. It's going to feel like the arrow is like that, and that's because it is. No problem, you're looking at the tip of the arrow, but it gives you that perfect alignment over the top. Let's see what this looks like from the back of the camera. Remember, I told you, step 1, start at the 20-meter gap. Step 2, we're going to do 5 half fingers to go up 50 meters. So there's a full finger, that's 2 halves. Another finger, that's 4 halves. And another half finger, there is my 70-meter gap. And if I can see this on the camera, let me see for a second. That is what the sight picture is going to look like. In fact, it's going to look like this, guys. It's going to be, you're going to see a whole lot of the arrow looking down the left side of the string, a whole lot of the arrow and the tip of the arrow on the target. So let's go give this 70 meters a try. And remember, if I went down 3 and up 2.5, that's the same as if I just went down a half a finger. So you're going to see me do the short method. I love shooting at 70 meters. This is when the arrow actually does what it's supposed to, thunk into the target. I never get tired of shooting here. It's just really hard to shoot and talk at the same time. You guys know that from my other videos. Step 1, choose your gap. Step 2, anchor under the chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, put the tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, small motion release. Oh, very nice. Like 1 inch up and at 1 o'clock away from the orange. We're ready to move on to the 80-meter target. Okay, I've taken you guys from 10 meters to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70. Now we're doing battle with 80 meters, and from there we're going to skip up to 100, only because there's already a 100-yard target out there. But for 80 meters, we got to start at the 20, And then we got to go up 60 meters. That's 60 half fingers or 3 full fingers. What does that mean? I'm right back at my starting point. My zero gap is actually 80 meters, and this is what it looks like. This is the benefit of anchoring under your chin instead of the side of your face. Then my zero gap is actually 80 meters. Now, if I can just show you, I think that's the target out there. This is what it's going to look like for a sight picture. So, step 1, choose the gap, 0 in this case. Step 2, draw back under the chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, small motion release. There we go. Let's do one more just to plug it. At least I got to hear it that time. Step 1, choose your gap. Step 2, drive back under the chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. That's 2. We're going to pause the camera. I'm going to shift. We're going to go over to that side to do battle with the 100 meter target. See you in a minute. All right, you guys, don't laugh. I'm shooting at the 100 meters. If I'm lucky, I get half of them on, even with the wind.
You'll hear a cheer in your video if you hit it.
Cheer. All right, yeah, I got a peanut gallery now. We started at 10 meters with the VOGTLAND string walking method. Took you out to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70 to 80. We're going to shoot at the 100 yard. That's 90 meters. What does that look like? That's where the VOGTLAND string walking method actually starts going above the arrow. So here's what it looks like in terms of the method. We start at the 20 meter gap, and to go from 20 out to 90, I got to go up 70. 70 is 1, 2, 3.5 fingers. Well, that's 3, and I can't do a half, so I'm going to have to go a whole finger over. But what you're going to find out is there's limits to the method, that even at those extreme ranges, I'm going to need the full finger. That it's not going to go up perfectly linearly and it's going to be a half a finger gap over the arrow. It's actually going to be a full finger, because there is going to be extra wind resistance that drops the arrow a little shorter. So 1 finger over the arrow, this is what it's going to look like. In other words, Mediterranean grip is what I get to use when you anchor under your chin, guys. The standard Mediterranean grip is actually going to give me a 100 meter range, and it's going to look like that looking down the string. So if we're all really quiet, we're going to shoot at 100 meters with that technique. Step 1, choose your gap, 1 finger over the arrow. At this distance, that target face is about 1/16 the size of it that it is at 10 meters, just so you know. And I got to gauge a little bit. There's a little left to right wind, camera left to right. So I'm going to be aiming to the left edge of the white, like the left edge of the target, just in case it moves. Step 1, choose your gap. Step 2, are you guys watching? Step 2, draw back under the chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. Got it. Just on the right edge at 3 o'clock. So there was a lot of walking. Yeah, I thought you guys said you're going to cheer.
Oh, we weren't sure if it
That was like half-hearted cheering. Well, did you see it on the left edge, on the right edge of the target? Yeah. All right, but you can feel the breeze too, right? I mean, this thing's got 3 seconds of hang time at 180 feet per second. All right, let's try it again. I'll be aiming on the target out there. I'll be aiming at about 10 o'clock, right on the left edge of the target, just so you know. Because I'm looking at the flag over there, and it's going like this. So, step 1, choose your gap. Step 2, anchor into the chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. 2, that actually still caught the left edge of the target. So whatever wind I'm feeling isn't down there at 100 yards. Welcome to target archery. If you look at the Olympic archers in the world championships, if there's even a slight breeze in the championship round, They're not shooting at 90 meters anymore because everybody's going to look stupid. They're going to shoot at 70 meters instead. They'll say it's for safety's sake, but it's really so that the archers themselves don't look stupid, because you do even one thing wrong, you're missing that target face. You get a little bit, not even wrong, if the wind comes up during the shot, it's going to go off. And they can't control that. So, last arrow, step 1, choose the gap. Step 2, draw back under the chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, tip the arrow on the target. Step 5, smooth, small motion release. Got it.
Nice. Wow. Okay.
All right, that's VOGTLAND. Yay! Thanks. All with a bare bow.
That was a good shot.
At no time did my hands leave my wrists. There. You guys saw the VOGTLAND string walking method. 2 steps. 1, start with your 20-meter gap. 2, find out what your 10-meter interval gap is and then shift accordingly. Go up, up, up to reduce that gap, to bring the back of the arrow down, to put the tip up for farther ranges, and then increase the gap to bring the back of the arrow up so that the arrow points down and you shoot at shorter distances. You just saw this technique work from 10 meters all the way out to 100 meters. Hope you enjoyed this. This is Mark Vogt with VOGTLAND Outdoors. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Emmanuel in Poland. Hope you enjoyed this one. That's for you. See you out there.
Nice, man. That was a sweet shot. Okay. Now I'm a believer. That was almost.